Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. This is Optibotimus coming at you with another video review. And on today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at something we've been looking forward to for a very long time. Today we have the new TakaraTomy Transformers Masterpiece MP-32 Convoy from Beast Wars, otherwise known as Optimus Primal. For the package, it's a little bit bigger than what we're used to with some of the Masterpiece cars, but smaller than some of the larger scale figures. You can see you got a really nice image of Primal in his robot mode as well as his beast form. And you got that very classic lizard eye in the background, which I love that. One other thing that's really nice is down here in the bottom, you can see an actual Beast Wars 20th anniversary logo. It's nice to see that Takara is actually acknowledging that when Hasbro doesn't seem to want to. On the back of the package, you can see you have a bit of a read-up here, as well as several different product shots of Primal in his robot mode and his beast mode, as well as showing all of his features as well as his accessories. But for the packaging on this guy, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get him out here and see how cool he actually is. And here we have Optimus Primal opened up and out of his packaging. The first ever Masterpiece Beast Wars figure, and he does not disappoint. The resemblance to his animated CGI self is absolutely outstanding. He unfortunately does suffer from some of the elements that have hindered Beast Wars figures in the past, but overall, this is still a very solid figure. Now, in terms of his accessories, he doesn't come with a ton. First up, much like all Masterpiece figures, and it's continued on here with their Beast Wars line, you get this nice collector card with the image of Primal as well as the Beast Wars eye there in the back. On the back of the card, you got product shots of him in his robot mode as well as his beast mode, his tech specs, and then obviously a bit of a read-up on him. You also get his instruction manual, which again probably has the read-up on him. You have a bit of a 360 image of him in his robot and beast mode, all of his different features, a couple of action poses down here, and then on the side it lists all of his kind of weapons, where they come from in the actual cartoon. And then on the opposite side, you have all of his instructions, and honestly, the transformation on him is fairly simple. Now, he also does come with several different faces. You just got a standard kind of straight mouth kind of look. You have one of them actually smiling, which I think looks terrific, and you got another one very angry looking, exposing his teeth and his gums and stuff, but real great detail. Coming in to take a little bit closer of a look at these. Really nice sculpting and detail work put on here. One thing that I absolutely love is the way that the eyes look. I mean, his eyes have a very happy look. His eyes have a very angry look. That's amazing how they were able to capture that. And I'll show how to attach these here in a little bit. He also does come with several different faces for his actual robot mode. You get one with his mouth plate, which honestly, I want to say I've only seen him do this a handful of times. He rarely ever did that. You also do get more of an angry one with his mouth kind of open, and then you get another one where he's actually smiling as well. One thing about Primal was he was a pretty happy guy, and it wasn't outside of the norm to actually see him smile. He also does come with his two very cool swords. Taking a look closer at these turned out really very nice. I love the actual sculpting and coloring here in the handle and just lower section of it. You got that nice kind of metallic blue paint on there. You have a very nice gold. In the centerpiece, you got just a very dark gray handle, but very nice silver paint here on the actual blade. You can see the sculpting work that's on there. Now, both of them are identical, save for the fact that the parts that attach are on opposite sides of one another, so that you can have it kind of like, well, no, it's more like that, holstered on his back. And then on the inside of his hands here, he has little groove sections that these little tabs kind of fit into, so you just put that in there and then wrap his fingers around, and he holds his swords very nicely. You can't really store him in his actual beast mode. They can store very nicely in his actual robot mode. But for his accessories, that's really about it for him. He does have several other features that are actually built into the figure, and through the course of this review, I'll show those to you guys. Now coming in to take a closer look at the figure, from the front, this guy looks absolutely spectacular. Where he starts losing some of that look is on the back of him. You got these kind of ugly looking feet section that kind of hang out there, and then you can see the back of his legs. That's what I was talking about in terms of suffering from some of the elements that have plagued Beast Wars figures forever. You have the CGIs that very nicely and very smoothly cover everything. When you try making it into a toy, there are going to be parts that kind of stick out. That was true with original Beast Wars figures, and it's definitely true here with Optimus Primal. It's not too bad, but it is definitely a little bit of an eyesore from the back. But how many people display their figures like that? I know I don't, but it is something to be aware of. But the rest of the figure really does look outstanding. Now, you do have some of that little exposed section right here. I mean, you can lift that up and you can see that, but you do have a little bit of that kind of hanging out there. But again, it's not too bad. One thing that I love is the kind of look that they got here. Coming in to take a bit of a closer look at it, you can really see a nice kind of almost fur-like paint job on the body of it. Look down here in the thigh as well. I mean, that really does look amazing. It's very smooth, so it's not textured or anything. That's just kind of variations in the actual plastic coloring. And then I love how the chest area here and the face have a little bit different of a color, which is, again, very accurate to the animation. Great face sculpt on there. To swap that out, literally all you do, give it a nice little tug. It gets in there fairly securely, and then you just got some holes and pegs. So we're gonna take his happy face, and then you just tab that in there, give that a nice line up push. There we go, and now you have Happy Primal. Or, you know, if you want to, you can take this out and put that in there, and you can have Angry Monkey. I mean, it's great that you have those kind of options. I absolutely love it. It was one of the most expressive kind of Optimus figures. The other thing that really does impress me about this is the actual articulation in his beast mode. The head here can rotate a little, but what's really neat is there's kind of two segments to the socket on the actual ball joint. So you can actually lift it a little. I mean, if you pull too far, you're going to pull it off. And you do need to take this off to access the battery compartment to install the batteries for the light up eyes, which, again, I'll show that here. But if you pull too far, you're going to pull it off. But if you just slightly pull it, there is a whole nother segment, which it's still fully attached, but you then can get a much wider range of motion with the actual head itself. I mean, you can kind of see it gets a little bit more ugly here in the neck area, but it's not too bad. And then this back section here can actually flip back, and you can, again, just be very careful when you're doing it. You can get him with a very high look, so you can recreate flying poses, which is great. The shoulders here are nice ratchet joints that rotate all the way around. Very heavy duty ratchets moving in and out. He does rotate at the elbow. This piece kind of gets in the way, and obviously you're going to need to adjust that as you move it. He bends here very nicely at the elbow. The wrists do rotate. He has individual finger articulation. Well, not individual, but the index finger is actually articulated individually, and then the bottom section are all attached, but they can hinge forward and back at just like that main knuckle. But you can kind of put that down and kind of, I guess, get like a little trigger looking pose for it, I suppose. He doesn't have any waist articulation, which is perfectly fine. The hips do move forward and back. They are a little bit limited. They can move in and out, but just like this, they're a little bit limited. And as you do it, getting that out of the way, you can see that sometimes it will detach things here. But what's neat is, yes, you can get him in that kind of monkey pose. I guess I should show his ankles do have a ball joint, so you can pivot those side to side, and they also do move forward and back very nicely. But you come around here to the butt, you lift that up, and this whole section, kind of angling this, getting this out of the way, you can actually take this. It's a little bit hard to get into, but you just basically pull this out and detach it, and it swivels on this little section right underneath here. So getting that down, swiveling this back, that gives you a wider range to actually move the hips forward. You can kind of then put that back down. You can then bring the arms down. These shoulders also, in addition to rotating, also have a hinge, so you can bring these arms down a little bit further, just like that. Lift the head, kind of angle that like so, and yep, you can get a little monkey kind of walk where he's using his front arms to kind of walk around, which is absolutely terrific. You needed to have that, and I think they did a great job of incorporating it. Again, when you come around here to the back, though, I mean, it kind of then exposes a little bit more, but in general, not too terribly bad, I don't think. What they had to work with was fairly limited, and I think they did a great job. Now, and I believe this is like an ultra version or something like that. It was the 10th anniversary version of them, so you get a little bit better of a face sculpt. But you can see there's a big size difference here. I was honestly really on the fence. I was like, this is a really good figure. Obviously, you can see there is a big looks difference. And obviously, you can't really have this guy get that collapse in there, standing up and walking around like this one does. But there is a big difference in terms of the overall look. I really didn't expect to be that blown away by the Masterpiece one because, like I said, I thought this was a really good figure. But this just, in terms of the look, really does nail it. And then the size just works a lot better. For another comparison, here he is next to his Transmetal version, which, as you can see, is a much closer representation in terms of the scale than that original one was. And then for a little bit more modern of a comparison, here he is next to the, I guess, Generations version. I don't remember what line that came out in, but it's the Deluxe Class Cheetor. And this works pretty good. So if people wanted to put this guy in terms of, even though he's a Masterpiece, in their, Beast Wars display, I think this looks pretty good, honestly, scale-wise. And for some more comparisons, here you have him next to Masterpiece Optimus as well as Masterpiece Bumblebee. Now, Primal here is a little bit bigger than he probably should be, but I think overall he still looks pretty good. Now, getting him to stand back in his normal configuration, just to get that kind of look, you just hinge these, get those legs out of the way, and then you push that whole section. That'll get that out of the way. Give that a nice push, that'll lock into place, and then put his butt plate down. Bring these arms, fiddling with it, get that rotated. But again, I mean, you can see he is a little bit bigger than he really should be, but I don't think it looks all that bad, to be totally honest. Now, to transform him, like I said, actually fairly simple to do. First, what we're going to do is get these arms out of the way and then hinge them forward a little bit, just to kind of create clearance here. Some of these parts here do tab in without the benefit of having like a little section to kind of pull it out, so it really does help to have fingernails. Fortunately, I have some semblance of some on some of my fingers, so you want to slide these panels out just like so. Then it's a little bit easier to take this section and rotate this around just like that, and then you want to pull this and kind of loosen this up. It tabs up here around his shoulders, and it's a little bit difficult to kind of get it to loosen up. So let's see, just pull that. That's one side, there we go, and then you can just extend that forward just like that. You can then bring these out. Just gonna hinge these back a little bit. Take this lower section, you want to untab this, and then again kind of get that arm a little out of the way, and then bring this section forward just like that. So you're exposing this whole intersection. Then getting this out of the way, you want to take this then to rotate the beast mode head all the way back. Make sure you have enough clearance here, rotating it around, and then when you do that, that'll bring out his robot mode head. So make sure you get that fully lined up. You're going to have tabs here that you're going to need to use later on. Take this back section then, rotate this around, and you can then collapse this up just like that. Then take these pieces that you slid out, you have the little slot section right there that's going to tab in along the side. So just bring that in, line that up, and push that in. Do that on both sides. A little bit hard to see because it's on the angle here, but just kind of feel around, give that a nice little squeeze, and you can rotate these around just like so, kind of just keeping them along his back section. Come around here to the front again kind of angling these back and out of the way. Take this whole chest piece. This will then collapse all the way in, and now, like I said, you got these little tab pieces that are going to slot into little slots on the inside here. So first, take this, and again, some of these pieces are a little bit difficult to get to because there's not a real strong kind of groove to get your fingernail in. So you just pull this out just like that, then rotate this around, and then bring that back down, collapse that into place. Bring this up and line those little tabs with the little slot sections right underneath there. So just bring that in, line that up, give that a nice little push, lock that into place. Rotate these arms. The arms are very simple. Those aren't very different from anything that we've gotten before. Take the waist section, rotate this all the way around. You can hear really nice ratchet joints on it. Come down here to the feet. Fold these, what were the actual heels, now will be the actual front of his feet. Take this section, rotate this down, and then take this little piece, rotate that back. So again, on this side, we're going to fold this piece forward, just like so. Bring this down. You got that little piece right there that's going to come along with it. Just fold that down and then flip that forward to create a new heel. Take these again, a little bit difficult, kind of pull them away from the lower section, and then rotate, pull them out like that, then rotate them around, kind of leave them just right there. Do that on this side as well, kind of wiggle, pull this, rotate that down. You can then straighten these legs out a little. Well, take these, you want to rotate these down like so, rotate these down, and then you can take this section here, moving this, get this leg hinged outward like so, kind of line that up there, and then take this section, fold this up, get that out of the way, come on, and hinge this around, there we go, put that up, and then lock that right there. So again, do that on this side, separate the leg, accordion that down, and then take this section, hinge this up, kind of lining that up with the little knee plate. Take this bit right here, you had that rotated around, now you just bring that up, push that in, creating the calf for his leg. Do that on this side as well, push that in, get that nice and positioned, straighten all this out, again kind of collapse that so that these pieces here are a little bit more lined up like that. Kind of position the legs around, position the feet, angle that, bring this down. You leave these little pieces up to create that look for him, and there you have Optimus Primal in his robot mode. Now, whatever shortcomings Primal may have had in his beast form completely go away in his robot mode. Beast Wars, being one of the very first to feature CGI, had a very unique look to it, and I feel Takara captured it very nicely. In the cartoon, the robot modes of the characters featured their robot parts, but didn't totally try to hide the beast mode elements, which is why most times Beast Wars toys look better in robot mode than beast mode, and that's still true here with the new masterpiece. Now coming in to take a closer look at the figure, as you can see I have him holding his sword. In terms of his storage for this, you can either have him hold it, or on the back you got these little tabs that correspond with those little slots on the sword. You can just plug those right in there. They just kind of sit there in the back, which I guess it's not too terribly bad. I think that the original toy kind of hit him a little bit better, but you do have storage for it. And then obviously some of the other features, he does have his shoulder cannons. Those can rotate around. You could see that when we were transforming them. You can also hide them, which I think looks pretty good, and then they just swivel around to the front. He also does have a thruster here, so to actually get that, you want to get this out of the way, separate these like so, bring this out, and then this section right here, it goes around this way. You just rotate that around, and you have his little thrusters here for his back, and then you have to put it all back together. It's a little bit kind of annoying in having to do that, but I mean, it's just got that whole clearance issue down there. I mean, you got his monkey face right there, and then you got the little flap there, so you would just put that down there, and then you got the little thruster so you can have him flying. One thing that I find interesting though here on the backpack, and it's prevalent both in beast mode as well as his robot mode here, is in getting those lined back up, is this little kind of handle thing, getting this out of the way and then pulling this down. It's a little peg. It rotates out. The instructions don't even mention this. I am curious to know, maybe it's meant to kind of help a future Beast Wars character kind of peg on there so that you can have him, you know, flying and have him be actually attached to his back. That's something that would make sense, because I mean, it is clearly meant for something, just not really apparent to us just yet. So come around here to these arms. This part here can definitely be tricky to do. Rotate these around. You have to get this on an angle with your fingernail, and again, I'm not going to be able to do it very well, so I'm just going to kind of wedge something in there just to kind of lift it up, and then you can pull this out. Come on, just like that, and then you can fold that back, and he's got his little arm cannons. He does have them on both arms. Let's see, again, you're kind of left with not being able to get into it because there's not a real leverage point. So just pull that out like that, rotate that around, and you got his cannons like I was talking about, which is really cool. I think that's really nicely incorporated. I actually like the silverish kind of paint that they put on the inside here. That's really kind of nice. So you can just tuck that around. Putting them away is really easy to do. And then one other kind of feature that he does have is in his face. Now, coming in to take a closer look, Like I talked about, you can swap out his face, getting this out of the way, and then these pieces, it's kind of hard to get into them, but you got the little face thing right here. You just kind of pull this out. Again, not easy to do because of the leverage aspects of things, but you can pull it out, and then you got the faceplate that just goes right in there. Let's see, well, I just kind of ruined it. It actually does have light up eyes if you have the batteries in there, obviously, or not. It doesn't come with them, so you do have to get those separately, but they're fairly common. I think they're widely available at like CVS and things like that. That's where I did get mine, but all you have to do is push the head down, and you can see the eyes light up, and then over time they actually slowly fade down and turn off. You're gonna see it as I'm talking here, and you've probably already seen it, but that's actually a really cool feature. And there you go. That's, by my recollection, the first time that we've gotten light up eyes on a Masterpiece figure, so that's really cool. But the head sculpt on here is absolutely terrific. These little antenna pieces actually can move around as well. I don't know why you would want to move them, but you do have that as an option. But really great head sculpt on there. You got great detail again with the chest piece. Like I said, I love the way that they got a plastic color to look throughout it, giving it a very fur kind of look. Come down here to the legs, nice white and red bits in here. I like kind of reflective silver paint that they use on the actual torso. You come down here to the lower section, and you got these little pistons that do move forward and back as you move the legs, and you got that nice silver paint down here on the feet as well. So, I mean, overall, absolutely gorgeous looking and very, very clean in general. I mean, all the way around, as you can see, he is a very nicely compact figure and looks great proportionally. Now, for some comparisons, here he is. And here's that anniversary edition. You can see a lot of similarities, but just vastly different and much better looking here on the new Masterpiece. It's just proportionally a much better representation of the character. And again, I was really not all that impressed with this when I first saw pictures. I was just like, this guy's fine. But now this has absolutely blown it out of the water. For another comparison, here you have him next to the Transmetal version of Optimus Primal. He's still a little bit bigger, but obviously much different kind of aesthetic as this took place later on in the series. If you were interested in having Primal in your Classics display, this is how he looks next to the Classics version of Cheetor. And honestly, transforming this guy, I had completely forgotten how terrible he was. So I cannot wait for the Masterpiece version of this guy. And then again, here you have him next to Masterpiece Optimus Prime as well as Bumblebee. And definitely, Primal is a bigger character than he should be by comparison to the G1 characters. But I really don't mind this scale. I think it looks pretty good. As long as they made him smaller than Optimus Prime, I was probably going to be okay with it. And looking at it here, yeah, I'm totally cool with it. First articulation, the head is on a very nice ball joint, so you get a nice range of motion. You can even kind of pivot it side to side a little bit, looks left to right, very stiff. And I would say that I'd be careful with the rotation and everything because there are those electronics. One thing I don't understand is when you push it, you got the eyes lighting up here. I don't know why necessarily he's got like this little clear piece in the back. I have no idea why he really has that. He doesn't need light piping or anything, but you do have the light up eyes kind of thing there. He does rotate very nicely at the shoulders. They move in and out very nicely. Rotates at the upper part of the elbow area. Bends at a very nice, more than 90-degree bend. It does kind of create a weird kind of gap here for the elbow, but it's not that bad. The wrists do rotate because these are the arms in his beast mode. The articulation of the arms are exactly the same. When you do transform him, though, you do now gain a very heavy ratcheted waist joint. The hips move forward and back. Those are on what feel like softer ratchet joints because as I move them, I can feel it kind of locking into place. Heavy-duty ratchet joints moving in and out. He rotates at the upper part of the thigh. He's got two joints here at the knee, mostly because of the way that the transformation is. But then when you do move it, you do kind of create a little bit of an ugly gap right there. It's not terribly bad, but it does have a bit of an eyesore kind of look to it. As I was showing, he does move forward and back here at the ankle. They don't really rotate, unfortunately, but they do pivot side to side, which is nice. So you can get a fairly good wide stance with them. So all the articulation that you could possibly want is here. If you are a Beast Wars fan, you are going to want this without a shadow of a doubt. To transform them back, we're just going to lift these up, kind of putting those right down there. Come around here to the back section of the legs, separate these from the lower section of the calf, and then you can rotate that around just like so. Do that on the opposite side as well. Pull that away. Kind of gets a little bit tricky because it gets in there very securely. So pull that away, then rotate that around. Make sure you have enough clearance to do it. There you go. Pull that out. And then you're just going to leave it right there for right now. Make sure you take these bits here, detach those, and slide that down just like that. That creates the space that you need. So bring that up. Then you can bring these all the way up like so. And then you can push that in, collapsing that just like that around his butt and everything. So do that on this side as well. Bring that all the way up, tab that into place. You got a little section right here. I don't know if you can actually see that. You got a little white tab right in there that comes up, kind of locks into place. So just put that there, lining it up, kind of keeps everything where it needs to be. Collapse that in. These pieces, rotate that around just like that, kind of position that. Then take the little foot section, rotate this back. As you bring that up, you can just push that there, and that little flat section here will then kind of fit along the ankle area, just like so. Then take the front section of the robot foot, rotate that down. Now you create the beast mode heel again. Do that on this side as well. Rotate him at the waist like so. Kind of bring that all the way up, make sure that that is all the way pushed in, creating more seamless right there, which looks pretty good. Come around here to the back, we're going to just get these out of the way, detach these. You can then hinge this forward a little bit, creates a little bit of clearance for you. Pull that out and then separate this from the top section, kind of straighten out the head, it helps out. Pull that away, pull that down. You can then get your fingers in there to rotate this up and spin that around, then collapsing that back in just like that. This piece here can be a little bit tricky to get your hands in there because, again, there's not really a place to reach in there and grab it to pull that intersection out. So you kind of have to push and then just fiddle and get that out of the way. Move that, keep that out like that. It does get a little bit tricky to pull that out. There we go. You can kind of wedge your finger up there, but pull that out. There we go. And then pull this all the way towards the back section, and then you rotate this around as well, pulling out his beast mode head. You're rotating his robot head down and in and aligning that up, bringing this whole section down. You hinge that and then put that towards the bottom, creating his stomach area, and then bring this down, locking that into place there. You can bring these shoulder pieces down like so. Come around here to the back. So make sure you bring these up, tuck those in, and then you can close that. Duh. Let's see, get that there as well. Bring those out, tuck that up, get that nice little squeeze. Let's see, do I got all that? There we go. And then rotate that around, bringing his hands and everything around. You can position this how you want, but there you have Optimus Primal back in his beast mode. In general, though, I am absolutely thrilled with how this turned out. The look on him is absolutely spot on. Beast mode here does get a little bit ugly in terms of some exposed robot parts, but there's not really a way that they could hide that unless it was just a straight up shell. But that being said, it's not all that bad. The vast majority of it looks really very good. The transformation on it, while simple, is actually very satisfying. It has a very familiar feel to it. Takara has done a great job of taking that original toy and updating it so it transforms in a very similar way. And I really do appreciate that. His robot mode, though, I think is the absolute best look. To me, that is basically flawless. The only thing that I would maybe knock it for is the overall size, but I don't really think a lot of collectors are going to be displaying their Masterpiece Beast Wars figures with their Masterpiece G1 figures. So it's not going to look terribly out of place. Overall, I really like this guy. He's a nice change of pace in terms of the Masterpiece line, and I cannot wait to see what other Beast Wars figures Takara has planned for us. So if this is a figure that you'd like to add to your collection, he is available right now at Big Bad Toy Store. So all you have to do for that is click on the link down in the video description. You'll go to BBTS where you can check out availability on this guy, as well as the rest of the wide range of Transformers Masterpiece figures. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been Optibotimus. Don't forget that if you like this video, to please like and share it. It goes a long way towards helping me out. Also, be sure to subscribe in case you haven't already subscribed. That way you get instant email notifications whenever I upload a new video, and you never miss out on a future review of mine. And as always, until next time, be excellent to each other.